To get some sense of what's really happening there, we're joined by Andy Mok in Beijing. He's the founder of Red Pagoda Resources, which really invests in and provides professional services to startups in China. Welcome to our broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us, Andy.
Great to be here, Susan.
Give us some examples of what kind of changes we're seeing.
Well, I think there will be a lot of changes that will be rolled out, but I think the most important thing to understand, because I think for many Americans, they hear these words, Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. And they may not really understand the significance of what this means, but I think the key word here is thought. And what this means is that Xi Jinping is putting himself, and this is being ratified by the party and the government, on a level with Mao Zedong. And this would be comparable to a President Obama or President Trump, equating their stature and their accomplishments to George Washington. So I think that this is a very, very profound development and will lead to all sorts of changes and events in the next few years. Some of them, I think, have already been mentioned, the integration between the party and the state through the anti-corruption bodies. There, I believe, is planned integration of the Foreign Affairs Ministry with the party units also responsible for that as well. So I think we're seeing some major structural changes during these two meetings or the two sessions.
One thing we keep hearing, Andy, is anti-corruption, and you just mentioned that. So is this really about judicial changes or finding people, meaning changes at the judicial level and having them being tougher on corruption?
I think it certainly is judicial changes, but it's actually broader and more systemic than that. Because one of the issues that has been recognized inside the party and amongst the people of China is corruption has been a long-standing issue. And I think the party sees this as crucial to maintaining legitimacy, but as well as the efficient functioning of government. So there are changes in the judiciary, so the court system. But I think more importantly, it's the integration between the party and the state with regard to anti-corruption enforcement. So it's at every level. It's legislative, we can think of it as the executive branch and the judiciary as well. So it really is an integrated effort.
Let's move over to the business community and changes there in the state-owned businesses and developmental reforms.
Well, I think one of the biggest developments there, and the thing to keep an eye on is this mixed ownership for SOEs, state-owned enterprises. So state-owned enterprises have long underperformed in terms of return on equity compared to their private sector counterparts, and I think have been known to be not as efficient, one of the reasons for that. So despite having a monopoly in many sectors in China's economy, they've still underperformed. So this change of encouraging mixed ownership in these SOEs, and in particular allowing private companies to have ownership. An example of that is China Unicom, where Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent, three of the leading private tech companies in China, took stakes in China Unicom with the goal of helping them become more market-oriented, more efficient, and respond more quickly to both market as well as structural changes.